Bhubaneswar State Museum. Looks very elegant, at least at the entrance. The exterior is very nice, beautiful garden. This is an Ashoka bell, top of it found in the Bhubaneswar area, 3rd century BC. Nice garden. What about those deers? Are they real? The outside is the sculpture garden. It is spread out quite a bit, and one can see this considerably damaged piece. Modlali Amma is naturally excited and looking so carefully, not want to miss anything. Items in the sculpture garden is not dated, but one can see the precision of the work. Another piece admired by Modlali Amma.
Come and show you what is it.
Small sculptures even on the wall leading on to the entrance. Bird's eye view of the archaeology gallery. This is Ashoka pillar from Pataliputra, which is located in the modern Bihar, from 3rd century BC. Lion is the symbol of Hinduism. This is a original one from the 3rd century BC, Ashoka's time. This is a pilaster of Buddhist railing, 3rd century BC. One can see the precision of the work by the Indian artisans even at that time. On a close-up, one can see the earwear on the hairdo even at that time. Under jewelry, from the ancient time, one sees the toplessness of the Indian women as it was accepted. Only because of the Victorian influence in the 1850s, the top clothing was imposed on the Indian living. This is Tara, 7th century AD from Bhubaneswar area. Huge Buddha, at least 5 feet tall, 7th century AD from the Balasore area. Manjushri, 8th century AD from Vajragiri near Cuttack. Emperor Ashoka with his queen, 2nd century BC. Area called Langudi, from Langudi area, which is referred to as the Dharmasala. Another statue found in the same location. This is a much better preserved Manjushri from the 8th century AD. One has to admire the precision of the jewelry she is wearing. Vajrapani, Avalokiteshvara of 8th century AD from the Cuttack area is far better preserved. The one I have filmed are in a chronological order up to 12th century. By 10th century, the ability of this artisan improved so nicely in the Orissa area, which is a Kalinga, and one can see the precision workmanship of the stone sculpture. Rishabant, possibility a Jain Tirthankar from the 11th century, found in the Bhubaneswar area, and look at the precision of the workmanship. Jains were always naked, meaning they have given up everything in life. So nudity is a spiritualistic basis for the Jainism, not a sexual basis. This is a 12th century Buddhist stupa, and one can still admire the precision of the workmanship. There seem to be two sections, Buddhist and Jain. This is Mahavir, 10th century. Location is not known. See the posture, which is little different than the Buddha's posture or a Hindu posture. The first Jain sculpture in this museum is from the 8th century AD onwards. This is the Jain one from Kajuriya Pada, which is the modern Puri, or the name that's called Puri, probably given by the British. Till the modern age Shakti, the female incarnation has been accepted in all religious sects. The mythical conception of various manifestations of goddesses took a complete shape in the form of sculptures in all iconographic features. Shakti is worshipped in the form of Mahishasuramardini, Durga, Parvati, Sapta Matruka, and Chamunda. Chamunda is not same as Mahishasuramardini. The dynamism and the prowess of mother goddesses are exhibited in the sculptures by adding multiple arms like Chaturbhuja, 4 arms, Ashtabhuja, 8 arms, or Dashabhuja, 10 arms. Here is Parvati with Chaturbhuja or 4 arms, and Mahishasuramardini with Dashabhuja or 10 arms. This is Chamunda from 8th century AD. The Tantric era went from 8th to 10th century AD. This is the most disgusting of all the Hindu sculptures I find, with a scary look, holding a head with cut at the neck, etc. Unfortunately, this kind of a misrepresentation that lasted for a short period of time has been used by the Western movie makers to label Hinduism as if it is very primitive and uncivilized, not looking at the positive aspects of it. Orissa is mainly a Shivite place, and all the temples here, including Lingaraj temple, is all devoted to Shiva in the form of a ling, and all Brahmins in Orissa are all Shivites, and to my shocking I found out that they eat meat. This is the only Vishnu sculpture that was seen. I am unsure where it was found and the age. Who says modern men's underwear are modern? Look at this. This was present from the ancient time. This is dated 7th century AD, found in the Bhubaneswar area. This is a gatekeeper of Vishnu from the 7th century AD. 7th century AD, Narayan or Vishnu. Vaishnavism is one of the oldest and the most important religion of the century. The name Vaishnava is evidently derived from the cult of Vishnu and worship of Vishnu with prescribed rituals, assimilates religious beliefs into a Brahminical framework. The concept of Vishnu in iconographic forms constitute one of the noblest themes in the realism of Indian sculptures. Worship of Vishnu in the form of Narayana, Krishna, Gopinath, Vishnu and Dashavatara became popular and found places in the social life of the people, which led to the appearance of Vaishnavite sculptures in the temple and religions. This is one of Vishnu sculptures found in the Bhubaneswar area from the 13th century AD. However, this bigger piece is from the 12th century AD, found in the same location. In the same 12th century, this very refined artwork is that of Krishna. More precision work can be seen in this particular sculpture. And especially to do this type of work in a rock is no easy task. Work of 13th century, one can see the precision work of a Vishnu sculpture. Another example. Security guards is no modern. This is a gatekeeper of Shiva, and these gatekeepers are known for centuries and centuries in Indian temples and for Indian gods. This particular piece of a gatekeeper is from 16th century, but even much earlier description of gatekeepers are known. This is an unusual sculpture of Nataraja from the 9th century AD, as all Natarajas are seen in a Tandava Nritya, but not this. Origin of Nataraja can be going back to Shaivism, an important institutionalized religion, has long history of its own with wide celibacy. It occupies a prominent position in the religious life of the people, which is evidenced from the innumerable Shiva shrines almost in every region, and as such numerous Shaivite shrines are still in working order in many parts of India and other parts of Asia, and now spread throughout the world. The worship of Shiva Linga or the phallus and observance of Shiva festivals are common religious phenomenon in every village where Hindus reside. In Hindu pantheon, Shiva is considered as the great god, the god of all gods, as well as the creator, preserver and destroyer of the whole world. The worship of Shiva goes back to the Indus Valley civilization. In the Shiva cult, we find various aspects of Shiva in sculptures like Shiva in Yogasana, Kalyana Sundara, Hara Parvati, Ardha Narishwara, Uma Maheshwara, Lokulisha, Ajay Kapada and Bhairava and many more. This is Uma Maheshwar, 10th century AD from Bhubaneswar area. Another of Nataraj, still not in the Tandava Nritya posture, as seen in the Tamil Nadu temples. In Orissa, it is still very different. More refined Uma Maheshwara from 9th century AD. Ganesh, who is the oldest son of Shiva, is the most popular of all the Hindu god sculptures. Here one seen from Bhubaneswar area in the 7th century AD. He still did not have truncal obesity or abdominal obesity at that time. By 10th century AD, in the same location, sculptures, one can see the huge abdominal obesity. The younger brother of Ganesh is Kartikeya, Subramanya, Skanda, or with many names. He has two wives, whereas Ganesh apparently is still single because he is looking for a girl similar to his mother Parvati. He has not found yet. A Rishi with his disciples pillar of Gupta age, 5th century AD. This is a Rishi Kanya, means daughter of a Rishi. Rishis were all married. A Ramayana segment from 8th century AD. This in 8th century AD, one can see the bullock cart with two bullocks. 11th century piece of transportation of elephants by boat. By size, it is huge and capable. There is evidence that Indian ships had sailed to far off places earlier than that. 19th century panel with various musical instruments. Sun god or Surya, 8th century AD. Kubera, 9th century from Bhubaneswar area. Kubera is considered the treasurer who kept the money for the gods. Basically collected. Picture of Yama, 14th century. He is the god of death. One can see what is in hand. That's how it takes you to hell or heaven. Agni is god of fire, like sun is another form of energy and is given a shape, as fire is as vital for a biological survival. This is a 14th century piece. Well, all the female figures are given with a very tiny tummy and very beautiful. Male figures are shown with a huge abdominal obesity. This is Indra, considered the god of heaven. This is Vayu, considered the god of weather, climate, wind, which is all goes together as a climate, another form of energy. As in a real sense, Vayu translates into wind. Varuna is the god of water or rain, is related to Varuna. Ashokan inscription in the language language Prakrit, script Brahmi, 3rd century BC. Translation. All men are my children, just as in regard to my own children. I desire that they may be provided by me with all kinds of welfare and happiness in the world and in the next. The same I desire in respect to all men. By 13th century, there was Sanskrit everywhere. Decimal figures, this is an evidence of development. One can see from 10th century onwards. too big a chart to be photographed by a single frame. Development of Oriya script from the 3rd century for A, I, U as it goes down the 4th, 5th, 8th, 10th, 13th, 14th and to the modern level. This is the modern Orient script now. This handwork often done on a sewing machine is unique in Orissa, which is located between Bhubaneswar and Puri, place called Pipli. This is the ancient time one. How even those days things were present. Museum interior and the quadrangle with a nice floral design. They are expanding the museum. The Orissa Pattachitra, we have a piece of that. It comes from the tradition of Orissa, a distinct place of its own because of its exquisite workmanship. Apart from the fragmentary evidence of paintings having carved on the cave of Kandagiri, Udayagiri and Sitapinji murals of the 6th century AD, the earliest indigenous painting from the Orissa are the Patta paintings done by the Chitrakaras. It mostly deals with the Jagannath cult, Krishna Leela, Ramayana and other Puranic stories and some popular legends. The way it is prepared is pasting together different layers of cloth with the help of a tamarind glue. The Chitrakara first prepares the canvas, that is Patta Astra. After that, a painting undergoes a different stages. There is application of khadi, demarcation of the border, preliminary sketching, recoloring, treatment of figures with colors and lacquering to be completed. Black, white, yellow, red, green and grey. These are the primary colors used by Chitrakara for their painting. This is one of black and white that we have, and a more intricate can be like this or like that. Could also be like this. Can be a complex one like this one, or somewhat even a little modern one like this piece. The one we have is from Raghurajpur. Bondas are the small tribes of Orissa, one of 280 tribals in India. One can see their bravery. On the women's necklaces. This is a Koya tribe or a tribe man, whereas the Jung are more advanced as they are dancing. Kathak dance has its origin in Jagannath temple in Puri. It is one of the 4 forms of Bharatanatyam in India, others being Manipuri, Bharatanatyam and Kathakali. Jayadev composed Gita Govinda. He was a 12th century poet. These are some of the original, quite a bit in the praise of Lord Krishna. There has been English translation of this. One can see the original of these palm leaf manuscripts. This is Ramayana in Urdu. Preparation of process of palm leaf manuscripts from the palm tree, particular type, the name is not revealed. Certain particular leaves are selected, they are processed. They may be smoked, boiled in paddy husk or buried under silt. The seasoned leaves are cut to required size and then holes are made and then tied together. Digitization cell. The electricity went off while I was filming, but actually on those palms lettering is done. To preserve these most valuable palm leaf manuscripts, the museum is way ahead of others in digitizing. For example, here scanning is done of each palm leaf, then it is transferred onto the computer where it is indexed, any cleaning done. This staff has the ability to label everything, that way the most valuable data is never lost. Shh! Don't talk, I say. The writing and the illustrations are incised on the surface of the palm leaves using a sharp pointed stylus. These incisions are then made visible by rubbing into the carbon black ink. That's how it will eventually look. Examples of the finished product before digitization in this particular museum.